Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be creating a trending nail, which is the bandana nail, and I think this is so fun, especially with everyone loving country vibes at the moment. I think it'll just be a really fun one to do. So I'm starting with Devilish, and I'm just using this as our base colour, so I'm just going to pop on 2 cuts of this and cure in between just to make sure it's nice and opaque, because I want a nice flat base to work on. Pop that into cure, and then I'm just going in with that second coat, and you can see the coverage of this is really good from 1 coat anyway, but like I say, I'm just putting 2 on just to make sure it's totally opaque. Once that's cured, I'm taking ultra matte coat, and I'm just going to do a layer of this all over the nail. I am going to be doing a lot of detail work on this nail, and if you watch my videos before, you know that I love working on a matte base so it doesn't slide around when I'm trying to put lots of detail work on. Once that's cured, I'm taking Snow White, and I'm just going to map out like a right angle corner here, and this is going to be the corner of the bandana, or at least the corner of the pattern. So you want to make sure you're using a really long fine detail brush for this to make sure that your lines are nice and smooth, otherwise you might get them a little bit wavy if you use a short brush. I am going to be curing in between most of these steps just because I don't want anything to smudge, or I want to make sure that on the next step I can wipe it off if it's not quite right. So I'm just going in with Serious Black, and I'm just adding another right angle couple of lines on this bit just as like a border. Next, I'm just going to try and do like a paisley shape, almost like a wonky teardrop if you haven't done one before. So this did take me a couple of goes, so don't worry if you don't get it straight away. This is why we cure the previous bits, because I did have to wipe it off a couple of times. But yeah, I was just trying to get the right placement of it. So I'm just going to try and keep the lines nice and thin, but I will be going back in to smooth them out a little bit just in case they're not totally smooth. And like I say, in between all of these sections, I'm popping them in the lamp to cure. Once that bit's cured, I'm going back in with Snow White, and I'm just doing some little kind of frilly swirls around the paisley pattern. This kind of pattern does seem to be around the paisley bits quite a lot, so I thought I'd just go with that. The good thing with this design is you can kind of make it up as you go along, and if it goes wrong, just wipe it off and try something else, because that's what I did. Next, I'm just going in and adding some lines around that border. So if I did do this again, I'd probably change this bit a little bit, because I went in this direction, it kind of left a gap at the bottom corner, and I do go in and add a dot in there later, but it's not exactly what I wanted to do, but I think it still looks fine. And then I'm just going in with Serious Black and filling in those sections in between with extra lines as well. And here, this is just where I add in that dot just to kind of fill in that gap. But like I say, it's not exactly what I wanted to do, but it definitely works enough. Then I'm just adding some dots on the inside of that paisley pattern, just as like a little border on the inside. And then I'm also going to put a Serious Black dot right in the middle of all of those white dots. And that should kind of finish off this little paisley bit. I'm just going to do exactly the same thing, but higher up on the nail and a little bit smaller, just to fill in this gap too. So I'll let you just watch this bit. finish off the design, I'm just going in with the dotting tool and some Serious Black and just adding some kind of sporadic dots in the gaps just to kind of fill in the space. I'm going to pop that into cure, and then I'm taking Ultra Matte Coat just to finish off the nail. So one thing to note is with matte coats, they can kind of smudge the inhibition layer just with the properties that they have. So you might want to wipe this down with some gel residue remover just before you pop on your Ultra Matte Coat. And there we have the final nail, guys. I think it's so cute, this nail. I absolutely love a bandana pattern and paisley patterns. If you want any of the products that I've used today, they'll be linked down below, and we'll see you next time, guys. Bye.